Captain Mira Thane sat in the cockpit as the shuttle coasted toward the ruined fragments of Nova Aria. The stars outside glimmered against the blackness of space. Broken hull pieces floated like ghostly ships lost to time. Inside the cabin, engines hummed softly, and sensors hummed with distant signals. None of the readings made sense until a voice cut through the silence. "Please, human rescue manned. I'll bring you eternal joy," the voice cried, trembling like a fragile song. Mira froze, her hand hovering over the console. Message. Repeated, gentle, yet urgent. She looked at her crew, each face lit by the soft glow of instrument panels. No one spoke. All eyes turned back to the signal source. Against standard procedure, Myra tapped the comlink. "Identify yourself," she said, keeping her voice calm. The reply came, faint but clear. "I am Silas," the voice answered. "I cannot last much longer." A hush fell over the shuttle as it drifted closer to the debris. Mira guided the craft with steady hands, inching past twisted metal and glowing embers of energy that still pulsed from shattered power cores. The damage looked fresh, no sign of a battle or distress beacon, just silence and cold. Silas's voice broke the quiet. "Again, I am here," she said, "near the largest fragment." Mira scanned the advisories. A single life sign registered on her scope, located beyond a floating wreck that once had been part of a great station.
Ouch.
She activated the external lights. The broken structure glowed in stark white beams, revealing a slender figure suspended. In a tangle of cables and girders, Mira's heart thumped as she guided the airlock into position. Outside, the vacuum of space waited. She suited up and acknowledged her engineer Cone, who floated beside her, tethered safely to the shuttle. His face showed concern and wonder. The hatch opened with a hiss. Mira drifted out, boots clicking. Against the airlock floor, she waved to Cone, then focused on the stranded figure. Silas bent slightly, her head bowed as if gathering strength. She wore a simple suit that glowed faintly with shifting colors, like moonlight on water. Mira reached out and unfastened the cables. Celia's voice was soft. "Thank you," she whispered. When free, she floated toward Myra and Cone. Her eyes shone bright blue, reflecting the journey of 1,000 stars. She seemed tired, yet her posture held quiet dignity. Back in the shuttle, Silas was guided onto a medical couch. The crew worked quickly, checking vital readings on screens. Her pulse was weak but steady. Her suit showed signs of damage near the chest panel. Cone and Mira exchanged relieved smiles when the life support scrubbers activated. Silas's voice came more clearly now. "I lost my home," she said, each word measured. "Our planet's heart, the Joy Core, has gone silent. I sought help and found you." Mira pressed her gloved hand gently on Silas's arm. "We will help," she promised. "First you rest, then we learn more." Silas closed her eyes. The shuttle's engines shifted. The crew saved her. Data into computer banks. Outside, the stars drifted by, unaware of the fragile hope growing inside this tiny ship. Captain Mira Thane watched the fading glow of the ruined station behind them. Somewhere out there was a world in needs, people. Waiting for a spark, Mira settled into her chair. She opened her log and typed a brief entry, "Rescued a lone being who calls herself." Silly, she carries hope for a broken world, beginning a new course to learn her story and to help if we can. She paused, staring at the screen. The silent stars gave no sign of sympathy or scorn. They simply shone, yet within the cabin, hearts stirred with purpose. The lonely plea had found its answer. Now the real journey would begin, one that might bridge two worlds and awaken a joy long lost. Mira stepped from the cockpit into the soft glow of the medical bay. Silas lay on a cushioned table, her breathing steady but faint. The room's lights were gentle, and machines whispered as they monitored her. Cone hovered nearby, checking readings on a floating holo panel. The rest of the crew stood at a respectful distance, curiosity and concern in their eyes. Silas's eyes fluttered open. She looked around, taking in the unfamiliar metal walls and the gathered humans. her lips curved in a small, hopeful smile. "Thank you," she whispered again. Her voice was calm now, though still tinged with sadness. Myra knelt beside the table. "You are safe here," she said. "Rest, and tell us what we can do to help." Silas closed her eyes briefly, breathing deeply. At last she spoke in soft, clear words. "I come from a world called Cyrene. Once our people lived in great harmony with humanity. We shared joys and dreams. Long ago we forged a bond. In return, we taught humans to sing with light." She paused as Cone adjusted a support arm that held her gently. But then a time of fear came. Old wounds opened, and both our peoples drifted apart. Cyrene's joy crew, world's heart, grew silent. Without its song, our skies lost. Color, the gardens dimmed. I ventured here across many light years to find someone who could help. The crew listened in silence. None spoke. The weight of Silius' words settled in the air like stardust. Mira folded her gloved hands. "We want to help," she said softly. "Tell us more about this bond and how to restore your world." Silas opened her eyes and looked up at Mira. "The bond was built on shared joy," she explained. "Humans once learned our crystal song and carried it in their hearts. In return, our people gave yours joy that flowed like rivers of light, but fear drove us apart. War was not kind, and trust faded. Only a human soul, full of hope and kindness, can reawaken the joy core." Cone pressed a button on the holopanel, sending a gentle pulse of warmth through Silius's suit. "What must we do?" he asked. Silas glanced at the panel's display, then back to the crew. "You must bring me to Cyrene. There you will find the silent joy core. Place your hand upon it and speak words of true hope. The crystal will hear you and shine again." Mira nodded. "It will set a course once you are fully well." She looked at the rest of the team. "Prepare the navigation logs and check supply levels. We leave soon." As the crew moved off to their tasks, Silas drifted into a more relaxed state. Her breathing grew easier, and her eyes shone with a new light. She watched Myra and Cone work, gratitude softening her features. Later, in the shuttle's common area, the crew gathered around a holotable. Star charts and supply manifests floated in the air. Under Mira's guidance, they plotted a course. To Cyrene, no one spoke of danger or doubt. Each person felt the quiet power of Silius's story. Lieutenant Jera leaned forward. "How long until we arrive?" she asked. SYL has joined them in the common area, supported by gentle grav fields. She pointed to a point on the chart. 3 jumps, she said. "If you maintain speed and avoid the nebula field at Barnard's Rift, we can be there in 5 days." Jara nodded. "We'll adjust shields and reroute power? No problem." Crew exchanged determined looks. In that moment, they became more than explorers. They were a team united by hope and a chance to heal an ancient rift. Silas watched their faces, her heart light with dawning trust. As the shuttle's engines hummed, Mira stood by the viewport. Stars streamed past in pale streaks. She thought of the broken world waiting for them. She thought of Silius's promise and the chance to bring joy back to an entire planet. A gentle smile touched her lips. Inside the cabin, the hum of equipment and the soft footsteps of crew members felt like a quiet song of their own. They had rescued one voice in the void. Soon, they would answer her plea and carry a new melody across the stars. The shuttle glided through the stars, its engines humming in a steady rhythm. Outside, distant suns shone like diamonds on black velvet. Inside, the crew moved quietly from station to station, checking engines and life support. Captain Mirathane sat at the controls, her eyes calm and focused. Silas watched from a nearby seat, her blue eyes reflecting each passing light. The gentle sway of the cabin felt almost like a lullaby, but everyone knew this journey carried great promise and silent worry. Silas leaned forward to speak in soft tones. "On Cyrene, the crystal gardens stretch beyond sight," she said. "They glow with many colors, emerald green, violet, and gold. The air is sweet and laughter drifts like wind." Mira nodded, imagining that shining world. Engineer Cone tapped his fingers on the console. I look forward to seeing your gardens, he said. The rest of the crew smiled. Even Lieutenant Jara, who usually stayed serious, let her shoulders ease. As days passed, the shuttle carried them deeper into uncharted space. A region of charged particles lay ahead known to cause brief flickers in power. The crew prepared shields and rerouted non-essential systems. Silas floated by, quietly humming an ancient tune. The soft melody made the lights steadier and warmed the cabin's air. No one knew why it worked, but they felt safer. Cone whispered to Myra, "Her song may be our secret shield." Mira only nodded, grateful for any help. On the fourth day, the shuttle passed an old research station drifting in silence. Its panels hung loose, and solar sails had torn away. Jara suggested salvaging its remaining fuel cells. Mira gave the order. In pairs, crew members donned suits and floated outside, tethered by bright lines. Silas stayed inside, offering encouragement through the viewport. "You do well," she said. "My people would be proud." When the team returned, they carried heavy canisters. The shuttle's reserves filled once more. That night, the crew gathered in the common area. A hologram of star charts glowed above. The table Jara tapped a point in space. "We have 2 more jumps," she said. "After that, we enter Cyrene's orbit." Silas smiled, hope brightening her face. Myra looked around at her team. "We will face what comes together," she said. "Our strongest tool is trust." In the soft light, doubts melted, and each person felt the warmth of belonging. Sleep cycles came and went. Silas grew stronger each day. She moved through the cabin easily now, touching consoles to feel energy flow. In return, she taught humans a simple, crystal song that played through the shuttle's speakers each morning. The tune felt like sunlight on Skinna, quiet promise of joy. Crew members began their shifts with the melody, and it settled nerves better than any briefing. On the 6th day, unusual ripples bent the stars outside the viewport. Instruments warned of a weak gravitational wave ahead. Mira raised an eyebrow as the sensors flickered. "Steady," she said into the cum. She guided the shuttle through the distortions, shifting power between engines and shields. The cabin lights dimmed, then shone bright again as they passed the wave. The crew held its breath until the stars realigned. Afterward, Silas approached. "Mira, your hands are steady," she said softly. "You guide us well." Mira glanced at her friend. "We guide each other," she replied. Cone joined them. "We make a good team," he added. Silas nodded, emotion shining in her eyes. "I feel hope I have not known in ages." As the shuttle left the ripple zone behind, a small green point appeared on the holomap. Cyrene's system lay just ahead, pale and beautiful. Myra stood at the viewport, heart steady. The broken world waited for their arrival. The crew prepared systems and checked supplies once more. They had rescued Sillies. Now they would answer her plea. Myra opened her log and typed a single line, en route to Cyrene. Crew united by hope, all systems ready. She paused, fingers resting on the console. The silent stars offered no reply. Yet inside the cabin, hearts beat in unison, carrying a bright melody across the void. The real journey to heal a world's spirit was about to begin. A sudden alarm broke the shuttle's quiet rhythm. Red lights blinked as the main power panel flickered and shut off. Out! Instruments went dark. Outside, the stars seemed to waver. Captain Mira Thane steadied her breath and tapped the console. "Port," she called. Lieutenant Jara's voice came tense. "We lost power to the shields and life support scrubbers. No warning." The crew froze, worry passing like a cold wind through the cabin. Mira switched to manual systems. The engines still hummed, but auxiliary systems failed one by one. Cone checked the supply lines. "No meteor strike," he said. "No collision. This feels deliberate." The word hung in the air. Silas watched silently from her seat, eyes soft but alert. Mira scanned her team. Suspicion glimmered in their eyes. Had someone tampered with the systems? Trust felt fragile. In the dim glow, Jara spoke quietly. "Could be a fault in the reactor." or the nebula field we passed disturbed wiring. Cone frowned. Perhaps. But it feels like someone flipped a switch. Mira pressed her palm to the console. We will not jump to conclusions. Let's isolate the problem. She sent a gentle pulse through the backup core, keeping the lights on at half strength. The shuttle glowed faintly in the dark. Silas floated closer, her hands folded at her waist. On Cyrene, when trust breaks, the crystal gardens fall silent, she said softly. But when hope remains, a crystal song can heal. Mira glanced. At her, will that help us now? Silas nodded and placed her hand against the metal bulkhead. A soft hum rose around her, faint at first, then growing in strength. The hum felt warm like sunlight on skin. As Silas sang, the bulkhead panels glowed with a pale blue shimmer. Systems flickered back to life one by one. The shields restored at 50%, then 70%. Life support scrubbers hissed and resumed. Lights brightened to normal. The alarm silenced itself. Crew members exchanged relieved smiles. Cone scratched his head. I've never seen anything like it, he said. Her song fixed the wiring glitches remotely. Mira exhaled, letting tension slip from her shoulders. She looked at Silas with new respect. Your song is more powerful than we knew, she said. Silius's lips curved in a gentle smile. Crystal's song carries healing energy. It binds metal and spirit. Jara placed a hand on Mira's arm. We should record this, she suggested. It could help if more malfunctions occur. The crew worked together to analyze system logs. They found no trace of sabotage, only random faults that Silius's song had repaired. Confidence returned. Mira addressed her team. We trust each other. We trust our friend. Everyone nodded. Silas drifted to a seat near the viewport. Outside, the stars shone steadily once more. That night, the shuttle's speakers played a recording of Silas's melody. Crew members sat quietly, eyes closed, letting the tune settle nerves. In the soft glow, the cabin felt warm and alive. Mira watched Silas, who tapped her fingers to the rhythm. They had passed a test of trust together. Now, as Cyrena's system approached on the holomap, the crew felt stronger and united. The real challenge lay ahead, but they would face it as one. The shuttle slipped into orbit around Cyrene with barely a whisper. Through the wide viewport, Captain Mirathane gazed upon the world below. Vast crystal spires rose from violet mist, glowing in pale light. No laughter echoed through the canyons. No colors danced on the surface, only silent towers reaching toward a quiet sky. Silas drifted beside Mira. Her blue eyes reflected hope and sorrow. This was once a world of joy, she said softly. Now it waits for its song. Mira nodded and tapped her come. Lieutenant Jara, ready the descent team. Jara's voice came steady. All systems green. We will lower in 10. In the shuttle's hold, Cone and 2 others secured gear. Lightweight scanners and repair tools strapped to their suits. Silas floated near, watching with calm determination. The crew felt both awe and worry. They had come so far to heal this place. The hatch opened with a quiet hiss. The descent pod drifted through purple clouds. Below, the crystal spires gleamed like frozen tears. As they fell, the mist swirled, hiding the ground. Jara guided the pod toward a clearing, a flat plateau surrounded by towering shards of clear crystal. Looked like a silent cathedral. When the pod touched down, boots met solid ground. The air smelled faintly of honey and rain. Silas stepped out first, barefoot as her people would. She closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. The crew followed in their suits, marveling at the gentle light. Everywhere, crystal walls caught the dawn and fractured it into silent patterns. Cone switched on a scanner. No power readings, he announced. Joycore must be farther in, pointed his device toward a path between 2 tall spires. The light there was dimmer, almost gray. That way looks promising. They walked in single file, each step echoing softly against crystal. Mira's heart beat steady as she watched Silius's slender form glide ahead. The path wound deeper, into a valley of spires. Her heights became overwhelming, blocking the sky. Only a thin ribbon of violet clouds remained above. After a short walk, the valley opened into a circular basin. At its center lay a massive crystal structure, dull and dark. It looked like a great heart cut from stone, cracks spidered across. Its surface, no light pulsed within. The joy core. Silas hovered at the rim of the basin, hands pressed together. Tears filled her eyes. Myra stepped forward, placing her hand on the cool crystal. The surface felt surprisingly warm, like a memory, waiting to return. She glanced at Silas, whose smile was both hopeful and fragile. Myra searched for words. "We are here," she said. "We will help you." Silas nodded and held out her hand. "Place your hand where mine presses." Together, they moved to a smooth patch on the joy core. Their palms lay flat against the crystal. A hush fell across the basin. Silas began to hum softly, a gentle, rising tone that felt like sunlight. Myra closed her eyes and joined in, repeating the hummed melody. The sound spread from their hearts into the basin's still air. The crystal joy cores shivered, as if waking from a long sleep. At first, nothing happened but the soft hum. Then faint. Lines of light crept along the cracks. The dull surface glowed with a pale blue shimmer. The light grew in brightness and warmth. The basin seemed to brighten. Crystal spires around them trembled as color returned to their edges. The crew watched in wonder as the joy core's glow expanded from pale blue to emerald green, then to violet and gold. The basin's walls caught each hue and scattered it across. The mist, colors danced in silent celebration. The air filled with a gentle vibration, a crystal song of reborn joy. Silas opened her eyes, tears of light glistening on her cheeks. She looked at Myra. "You brought hope back to Cyrene." "She," whispered. Myra squeezed Silly's hand. "Your song guided me." The glow pulsed once more, like a heartbeat. As the team stood together, the valley brightened further. Flowers of crystal unfurled along the basin's rim. A soft wind carried a harmony only they could hear. The joy core's light reached high, into the violet sky, painting it with living color. Myra stepped back, breathing in the sweet air. Around her, the crew smiled, eyes shining with wonder. They had answered a plea and rekindled a world's heart, in that bright moment to peoples. Stood united, bound by song, by trust, and by hope restored. The valley glowed with living color as the crew gathered near the joy core. Crystal petals of light drifted on gentle breezes, and the air sang with soft vibrations. Silly's floated above the ground, her face alight with joy. Round her tiny motes of colored light swirled like fireflies in a summer sky. Captain Mirathane watched in wonder, feeling warmth fill her chest. Silas turned to Myra and placed a slender hand over her heart. "Your courage brought life back," she said. "Now all of Cyrene will awaken." Myra offered a humble smile. "We only answered your call," she replied softly. Cone stepped forward, scanning readings on his handheld device. "Energy levels are stable," he said. "The joy core maintains a steady pulse." The crew nodded, relief shining in their eyes. As they moved away from the basin, the ground beneath them pulsed with light. Crystal gardens sprang to life along the path. Emerald buds unfurled into glowing flowers. Violet vines wound around spires, like ribbons. Silas guided the crew through the transformed valley, her voice bright as the colors around them. "Follow me," she said, to the gathering place. They reached an open plaza ringed by tall crystal columns. Each column now hummed with color and light. In the center stood a circular dais, where a soft glow radiated upward. Silas hovered above it and called out in her clear, lilting voice, "People of Cyrene, awaken." At her words, the columns shivered, and lights formed into shapes figures of her people drifting from hidden chambers. They emerged like whispers of starlight, each one slender and radiant. Their eyes sparkled as they floated toward the dais. Myra felt awe and respect. Seeing these graceful beings return to life, Silas dipped into a graceful bow, and the figures responded in unison, forming a gentle circle around her. Then they turned to Myra and her crew, their faces filled with gratitude. One being approached Myra extending a hand made of crystal light. "Thank you," it said in a voice like chimes. "We owe you our world's future." Mira placed her gloved hand against theirs. "We shared this gift together," she said. The crystal hand faded. Leaving a warm glow on her palm, Lieutenant Jera exchanged a look with Cone. "This moment feels sacred," she whispered. The crew watched quietly, honoring the reunion. Silas moved to stand beside Mira. "Your people and ours can learn from each other once more," she said. "Let us begin," Mira nodded. "We will teach you what we know," she promised. 4. The next hours, the crew worked with the Serenians. Engineers and crystal artisans shared designs for energy conduits and light-based healing methods. Botanists among the Serenians showed how to cultivate crystal gardens. Humans learned new ways to listen to the world's song. The sky shifted colors as the day passed, painting the valley in ever-changing hues. As twilight approached, the crew gathered atop a low spire to look out over the valley. Silas hovered nearby, her hair drifting like threads of light. Below, the gardens glowed brighter, and the figures of her people wandered with lively steps. A gentle breeze carried a melody that mingled human laughter with crystal song. Myra placed a hand on Cilia's shoulder. "Your world is beautiful," she said. Silas smiled, her eyes shining. "Together, we will make it even brighter." Cone whistled softly, impressed by the harmony around them. "This is one of the best missions I have ever joined," he said. As night settled, the crystal gardens pulsed in a soft rhythm, like the heart of a living planet. Mira and her crew prepared to return to the shuttle, their hearts full. Before they left, Silas offered each of them a small crystal shard. "A gift of friendship," she explained. "Keep it close so you remember this world and its song." Mira accepted her shard and held it in her palm. It glowed with gentle warmth. "We will never forget," she promised. The crew climbed into the descent pod, carrying memories and hope. As they lifted off, the valley's glow faded from view but remained bright in their hearts. They had answered a plea across the stars and found a new bond between two peoples. The future waited, filled with promise and song. The descent pod's engines whispered as it lifted from Cyrene's vibrant valley. Through the viewport, Captain Myra Thane watched the crystal gardens fade into a sea of glowing lights. Each pulse of color seemed to bid them farewell. Silas floated beside her, holding a small crystal shard that Mira had given her. The shard glowed gently, a living reminder of their shared success. Mira guided the pod toward the shuttle waiting above. Inside, the rest of the crew prepared for departure. Cone checked the energy reserves. "All systems green," he reported, smiling. Lieutenant Jara floated in 0G near the airlock. "Ready when you are," she said with quiet pride. The mood in the shuttle felt warm and hopeful, as if the very air carried the echoes of Cyrene's restored song. Once aboard, the shuttle's engines roared to life, pushing them away from the planet. Silas drifted down the central corridor, her eyes lingering on the airlock hatch. She turned to Mira. "Thank you," she said softly, "for bringing hope back to my world." Myra paused, choosing her words with care. "You reminded us that even in silence, a single voice can shine brighter than fear," she replied. Silius's eyes brightened like twin stars in the common area. The crew gathered around a holotable displaying Cyrene's orbit. The planet's colors shifted in real-time: emerald seas, violet skies, and golden forests intertwined in living art. Jara pointed to a blue dot on the display. "That's us," she said, heading home. Cheers echoed softly, but the joy felt different. No, gentle, reflective. They had completed more than a mission. They had built a bridge between worlds. Mira stepped forward. "We leave Cyrene in good hands," she said. "Silas, your people will thrive again." Silas nodded, placing her hand over her heart. "My people will never forget what you have done," she answered. "And someday humanity will visit us again, not as strangers, but as friends." The crew clapped quietly, each person moved by the bond they had formed. Later in the shuttle's observation deck, Mira and Silas stood side by side, gazing at the stars. Silas held her crystal shard against the glass. Light from distant suns passed through it, creating tiny rainbows on the deck's walls. This shard carries the light of Cyrene, Silas explained. Your presence carries our hope. Mira smiled, her heart full. Then we carry that light together, she replied. As the shuttle entered a jump corridor, time seemed to stretch. Systems hummed and the stars blurred into streaks of white. Mira leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes. She thought of Earth, its blue oceans, green forests, and the people waiting at home. She thought of the promise they had fulfilled and the promise yet to come. When the jump ended, the shuttle would head toward human space, carrying news of a renewed alliance. In the days that followed, the crew settled into routine. They charted a course home, traded stories of Cyrena's gardens, and practiced Silius's crystal song each morning. The melody had found a place in their hearts. It brought calm before each shift and reminded them of why they explored the stars to find connection, to share kindness, and to bring joy where it had been lost. On the final day before Earth, the shuttle's speaker played the crystal song in its fullest form, a blend of Silius's voice and symphonic hums created by the crew. In the common area, they listened in silence, eyes closed, letting the harmony fill every corner. When the last note faded, Cone opened his eyes and said, "I feel ready for anything now." Every member of the crew nodded in agreement. As Earth's blue sphere appeared on the viewport, Mira gathered her team. "Prepare to report," she instructed. "Remember, our greatest report is the story we share." They smiled, united in purpose. Silas hovered near, looking upon the planet of humanity. "I will visit again," she said, voice full of gentle promise. "And together, we will make both our worlds shine." Ira watched Earth grow larger on the screen. She thought of the homes and families waiting below. She thought of the joy they would bring. With a steady voice, she spoke into the calm. "This is Captain Thane. We have restored hope to a distant world. Prepare to welcome a Santa friend." The shuttle glided closer, carrying not only travelers, but a new dawn of friendship that would echo across the stars.